Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody? I hope you guys are doing great today, man. I know my day is going just fine. So, what's up? Happy Sunday, man. Yeah, so what's happening, man? Hope you guys are doing good, dude. I mean, I know my day's going pretty good. Woke up this morning, everything's going great. You know what I mean? Did a little meditation. Actually, I did a lot of meditation this morning. I think I did good 3 hours of meditation this morning, but it was good because I got to really dig into the one of the books that I'm really kind of digging into, and it's the Lotus Sutra book, and very good book, man. I recommend you guys check it out. And not so that you become this Buddhist person or nothing. I'm not trying to freaking transform you into something or take you away from whatever it is that you practice. But what I do in my life, I enjoy reading different types of books. You know what I mean? I read different religions and different spiritual practices and I gain from it. You know what I mean? So yeah. But that was my morning. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it's all right. But anyway, man, check this out. Before we get this video started and keep on going here. If you would please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffer. And check this out, man. And for those people who are suffering right now with that Texas flood, man, you know what I mean? That Texas flood up in the hill country really is pretty devastating, and it really Mother Nature can be beautiful, but at the same time can bring some ravish things and. That's what happened this past week, man. And my heart goes out to all those people who are suffering, man. A lot of them, women, children, men, everybody, just a little bit of everybody, man. And they could use prayer. You know what I mean? They could use prayer and just that energy of the world of healing. And if we can, join me in this moment of silence for that. And again, please, the moment of silence followed by serenity prayer for all of those people suffering. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All righty. Well, check this out, man. With all that out of the way, check it out, man. What I wanted to come out and the message, I guess, for today, what I wanted to kind of just touch base on and see what you guys think, and I'll give you my whole input on it and whatever. And it's the phrase, I guess, of living in the here and now, and you hear that a lot in different cultures, different religions, and always talking about living in the here and now, right? And give me just a second. Good coffee, man. Good coffee. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Living in the here and now is exactly that, man. Just savoring that coffee. You know what I mean? That I'm grateful that I'm able to do that today. You know what I mean? That I'm here in the here and now and able to recognize that. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of people, man, it is they interpret it, living in the here and now, as different ways, right? And let me pull something up here real quick. Let me see if I can see what's up here. Wanted to kind of just give you guys a quick little thing that I had pulled up. I wanted to read it to you guys. It's just basically just some quotes. You know what I mean? And where's the head? Where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. What did I do with it? Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay, so I was looking up, a little bit about the here and now and that whole phrase, that whole quote or whatever. And, it always, most of the time when you hear that, it stems from meditation, from yogis, from shamans, from monks, from the Buddhists, Hindu, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, even in different other religions too. You know what I mean? But for the most part, mainstream in a sense. You know what I mean? It's usually that, right? And but one of the quotes that I came across, and it says, life gives you plenty of time to do whatever you want to do if you stay in the present moment. And that's from Deepak Chopra. And I thought that was kind of cool, you know what I mean? A lot of times you hear people say, don't dwell on this, don't think about this too much, life's too short to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And it's telling you that life's too short, that you shouldn't dwell on things that are keeping you bound down or whatever, right? And it's the same thing, I think, the same interpretation as this quote here that says, life gives you plenty of time to do whatever you want to do if you stay in the present moment. And see, both things are talking about time, right? About where to engage your time, I guess it's probably a better way to say it. And, you can either engage your time in living life to the fullest, that you have, it says here that, that life gives you plenty of time to do that. But at the same token, you're thinking, well, not really, because we're limited. You know what I mean? So it kind of, it's got a two sides of that coin, right? And let me go on and there's another guy that I like, listening to some of his things and the things that he says. And this one's from Eckhart Tolle, and from Eckhart Tolle, and he says that spiritual awakening is becoming awake to the aliveness of this moment. And I was thinking, I was like, spiritual awakening is becoming awake to the aliveness of this moment. And I think that, when we live our life and just to kind of, we prayed a while ago about the folks suffering through the tragedy through the flood of Texas and that sort of thing up in the hill country. And, how are they to know that river was going to get that wide and sweep everybody away? They had no idea, right? And it goes to show you, I guess, that a lot of these things, spiritual awakening is becoming awake to the aliveness of the moment. So if you're alive in that, if you're living, in what they call the here and now, in other words, being present, being mindful, being consciously present in the things that you do and the things that you live in, because ultimately we live in a world of non-existence. And I'm going to explain that here in a minute. And what I mean by that is that we live our life moment to moment, right? And in those moments, how many times, or just think about this, kind of dissect this with me, if you will. How many times throughout your day are you living for that present moment? And I don't think that we are, you know what I mean? Because we are living in a moment of yesterday and in a moment of the future. You know what I mean? Because you're doing things in your day, you're doing things throughout your life. You wake up and, let's just throw this out there for an example. You get up in your morning, you're going to go to work. Okay, so your mind is racing for the things that you got to do. In other words, for the things that are coming. In other words, that's the future. You don't know what's going to happen when you get to work. You're just assuming, right? So your mind is thinking about that. Okay, what am I going to do? I got to do this, I got to do that. Hope this person doesn't say this, hope this person doesn't say that. I hope I don't run into traffic. I hope this and I hope that and I hope this and I hope that. So you're living in that state of mind of what's going to happen in the future. You know what I mean? And some people will live it through both. You know what I mean? Okay, now you wake up. Let's go for another scenario. Okay, now you wake up. It's like, oh man, I shouldn't have drank that much, or I shouldn't have watched them. That Netflix series. I should have binged out on it, or why was my significant other such a B, or why was he acting such like a whatever, right? You know what I mean? And you're dwelling on these things that already happened that are affecting you in the here and now. Now you're complaining that what you did yesterday is going to affect what you got to do today. You know what I mean? So your mind is constantly thinking about the yesterday and what's going to happen in the future. And you're not really concentrating on, okay, what do I got to do right now? Thank you, God, for allowing me to wake up today. Thank you, God, for allowing me to sit here and be able to breathe like that. That I'm able to think of my actions. That I'm able to mentally process the things that are gonna map my day out. And if I'm throwing in those negative and just things of non-existence in there, then that's what happens. You live in this world of just moving that wheel, and it just seems like you're doing the same thing every single day, but not getting anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? But check this out, man. And I did that for a long time. I did, man. I lived my life like that for a long time, dude. And it was exhausting. You know what I mean? It was exhausting. It was fearful. It was emotionally draining. A lot of energy, man. A lot of energy went into living a life like that. You know what I'm saying? Just think if you could save all that, if you could have all that energy back to put it into something different now that you've been there, done that. You know what I see? And that's the thing is that what's cool to me about living in the here and now is that we have that free will to do and pick and choose and map out that here and now however we want. You know what I mean? That here and now could be anything and everything you want it to be. But it all starts right there with the mental thought process, right? And not every day is good. Not every day is gonna be good. You know what I mean? We live in a world of distractions. We live in a world that's toxic, and it's emotionally and physically draining. You know what I mean? And I know this to be true because I've been there. I've done that. I lived it. And man, how many times have you ever finished your day out and you're lying in bed, man, and you finally get to lay down and you could just feel your body pulsating. Like, wow, I'm finally here. I'm finally resting. And if when you feel that, man, you can have that feeling on the daily. You can have that feeling moment by moment. You know what I mean? And that's just what I believe this is my own opinion, is living in that here and now. And you find that calmness, that calamity, that essence of just being in silence, not having a worry in the world. Because you know that the divine presence got you. You know what I mean? When you have faith like that, man, that you know that this energy has you, and it's that safety net that you can just move your life whichever way your mind thinks. It's almost like them, what do you call those things that you just drive, all you gotta do is kind of lean into it and it starts moving, a Segway. It's kind of like that. You know what I mean? It kind of already knows your thought, which way you go. And if you stop and you just, it's kind of weird, but it works. And I think that's the same way with getting in tune with your mental thought processes and in that connection to that divine energetic energy of Mother Earth, of divine nature, of whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different name for it, right? Everybody has that thing. You can call it God. You can call it Mohammed. You can call it Gandhi. I don't care what you want to call it. Call it what you want. But if you're calling it whatever it is that you call it, and you're actually exercising it, that's the key, because you can call it whatever the hell you want all day long and nothing's gonna happen. You know what I mean? My point here is that if you want to live in the here and now, it's gonna take some work. You know what I mean? Living in the here and now isn't just, doing absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? Because even doing absolutely nothing, man, your mind just travels and it's using up energy, dude. It's using up energy and you don't even know it. And we live in a world that decays. You know what I mean? We live in a world that's gonna eventually not be here. How that happens, I have no idea, and I'm probably not even gonna be alive when it happens. But like Mr. Deepak says that life gives you plenty of time to do whatever you want to do with it if you stay in the present moment. And I believe that when I stay in the present moment and I feed my mind, my body, my soul things of love, things of spirituality, things of the divine matrix, things of just that divine energy of Mother Earth and the universe is to me, when I'm one with that in my meditation practices, in my daily routines, my life goes really good. My life goes really smooth, man. There's not a lot of negativity and fearful things that happen in my life when I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Why would I want to stop that? You know what I'm saying? And my point here is that I like to share things like that so that maybe if your life is not in that sense, if your life is not on that road, just know, my brothers and sisters, that you can be there. You can get there with a little practice. Everything has practice in it. You have to do things on a repetitive note. That's just the way we live. You know what I mean? Our world that we live in cannot function without repetitions, cannot function without the repetitiveness of people's mental thought processes and actions. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? If we don't have repetitiveness, we don't have life. We don't have a world. It's over then. You know what I mean? So it's very imperative that you understand that and that you practice this thing in a good, spiritual, and positive way in your life. Because when you, check this out, man, when you do spiritual, positive, and good, energetic, karmic things in your life on a repetitious basis, those are the energies, those are the signals that you send out into the divine matrix. And those are the words, those are the sounds, those are the things that it recognizes. And when it recognizes it, it catches it and it throws it back at you. You know what I mean? That is the beauty. That, my friends, is the law of attraction. That is the living in the here and now. You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. I elaborate on my opinion through the studies that I do. You know what I mean? Because I study through other people. You know what I mean? I pick up things through other people who are educated in those types of concepts. You know what I mean? Whether it's educational, whether it's philosophy, whether it's science, whether it's spirituality, whether it's religion, I take everybody's things and I put them into my own here and now vocabulary. You know what I mean? And then I come up with whatever comes out of my mouth. You know what I mean? And I do that because that's what I feel in here. That's what I feel in my heart and soul that it is for me. That's my interpretation of the things that I see, the things that I do, the things that I experience. And, you know, and everybody has their own experience. Everybody has their own, because everybody has a different mind, right? We all have a mind, we all have a brain, and yes, they're quote unquote the same, but they act different because we have the ability to pick and choose. We have the ability of free will, right? So then turn there, then everybody else is unique. You know what I mean? That's what makes us unique as people. And unfortunately, you know, some people choose to stay in the dark and in the dark, fearful, and negative thought process, and others tend to navigate to the positive, spiritual, and good karmic energy. You know what I mean? So there's a give and take, and it's just the world we live in, man, and that's just the way it's been for years. You know what I mean? It's been like that for, gosh, since the doctors and scientists, philosophers, and anybody and everybody, archaeologists, whoever explores those things, this is what they come up with. You know what I mean? The studies and the tests that they do and whatever, it all boils down to that. You know what I mean? And you know, we're a species who evolved into this grandioso type freaking people. You know what I mean? Which is awesome to me because, you know, if I'm sitting here talking to somebody who was living in, you know, 3,000 years ago, this is going to be kind of an awkward conversation. You know what I mean? We're probably going to be talking about, okay, what do you do? What do you know? And this person is probably not going to have a very broad intellect of speaking. You know what I mean? He's not going to have the words that I have. He's not going to have the things that I have to come up with scenarios, come up with words, come up with, you know, just conversation. Because I have, not only do I have myself, my own mind, the divine matrix, but I also have this thing that's sitting right in front of me, which is a computer that I can talk to and ask anything, and it'll give me some feedback. You know what I mean? Now, they're going to be limited in the things that they do because their here and now is going to be totally different than mine if you look at it through the here and now of the world. But if we look at it through the here and now of the spiritual cosmic divine matrix, now in turn there, we're on the same page. Now we understand each other. Now because the divine matrix has been talking and speaking and sending that energy out for years and years and years. Even back 3,000 years ago, it's the same energy. It hadn't changed. That language of the universe has not changed from there to here. You know what I mean? It's the same language. Now both of us, because we live on this earth and we evolved and we have different cultures and we adapt to the world around us, we are a little different in that sense. You know what I mean? Our communication there is going to be a little bit different in that sense. But if you're communicating through that divine matrix and that divine universal energy, now we're both talking the same language. And I don't care how long ago you've been around, that language never changed. We can communicate freely and we'll know what each other's thinking, what each other's doing, what each other wants, and that sort of thing. How cool is that? And this is just my own opinion, you know what I mean? You can interpret that however you want, but for me, man, living in the here and now is exactly that, man. I try to live moment to moment. And don't get me wrong, I get stuck. I do. You know what I mean? I get stuck in the daily distractions. You know what I mean? Whether it's you know, doing things like trying to figure out what I'm going to do on my podcast, or if I'm watching something on Netflix, or if I'm talking to my daughter, or if I'm talking to the neighbor or whatever, you know, whatever comes up in my life, those are the distractions. You know what I mean? Those are the distractions that keep me away from the here and now. And it's hard to live in that here and now, man. It is. It really is, because, you know, we have too many distractions, especially in our lifetime today. Our life is toxic, man. Toxic. With a lot of things, especially with the whole social media thing, the AI, everything, man, that's toxicity, right? But it can also be a positive if you feed and take things, because I believe I believe that is a tool that we're able to use to communicate to a vast amount of people. Imagine that. You can communicate a positive and spiritual and good karmic energetic thing when you're doing a video like this, and you can connect with someone or anywhere around the world that you connect with them, man. Even in space, you can connect with them. Imagine that. You know what I mean? I can connect a video from here to somebody who's up in a space shuttle, up in space, and that communicates. I don't know what the latency is there. You know what I mean? It could be a few minutes or whatever. I have no idea, because I've never been in space and never talked to anybody out there. But I know that the communication can happen, and it does. You know what I mean? And how what the latency there, and what I mean by latency is the time it takes for something to be said here to hit somebody's ear over there. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of times you see the things on when reporters are reporting live, and they're like, "Oh, so how are you doing out there?" And and they're like, they take a minute. You know what I mean? Before that latency. That's the latency before this decibel of noise gets to this ear over here. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about when I say that. And but nonetheless, you can communicate, man. You can communicate with anybody, anywhere, and in any way. You know what I mean? I can communicate just sound if I wanted to. You know what I mean? But that's the beauty of having this tool, in a sense that you can use it for a positive thing. You know what I mean? To talk to people, to reassure them, to give them love, to show them, to let them know that, you know what, you matter. And I'm here to tell you, you matter. You know what I mean? I do my channel because I want to help people. I want to help people who are having a hard time living in the moment, living in today's world, and going through different adversities in their life, because I've been through those, man, and I've gone through a lot of them, man, a whole lot of them, and you know, too many to go over, you know, in a small short segment, but nonetheless, it's those adversities that I've gone through have been helpful to me, and because the way I live my life today, I'm able to see the positive in living a life of negativity, you know what I mean? And how I can share that experience, embrace that experience, love that experience, and share it with the world. That maybe somebody else that is going through that experience can take and say, hey, you know what? If that guy can do it, I can too. If that guy can be happy again, I can too. If that guy can find love again, I can too. And that's the whole purpose, man. So, man, you check this out. Thank you for watching me, man, the video. I really appreciate it. And if you would please give me a thumbs up, shoot me a comment if you want me to talk about anything. I always like talking about different things, so you know, suggestions are always great. And if you would please share the channel, hit that subscribe button, and just know that when you do tap that subscribe button, man, it doesn't cost you a thing. It don't cost you a thing, but you know what? You'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, anger issues, sadness, depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those things, my friends, because I have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. And guess what, my brothers and sisters? I know a way out. I know a way out. And my way out could be your way out. So thank you for tuning in. And until the next time, man, on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.